Okay, let's just dive right in. If you have type 2 diabetes or know someone who does, it can feel like you're lost in a minefield of myths, bad advice, and, well, outright lies. It's confusing, it's frustrating, and it makes it almost impossible to know what to believe about your own health.
And look, if you've ever felt that way, you are definitely not alone. Our source material from Dr. Ken Berry really highlights how this confusion can make people just want to throw their hands up and give up. And that path can lead to some really devastating health consequences. But the good news, there is a clear path forward once you can see the truth.
So in this explainer, we're going to cut through all that static. We'll be drawing directly from our source to debunk some of the most common and, frankly, harmful lies that are told about type 2 diabetes, so you can see the facts for yourself.
And our journey starts by challenging the very definition of the disease itself. You see, the way we think and talk about type 2 diabetes is the foundation for all the myths that come after. Here it is, the first and probably the biggest lie, that this is a life sentence. The source is incredibly emphatic on this point. For true type 2 diabetes, it is not a progressive, incurable disease. It is a condition that can be, without exception, 100% reversed.
Now, what's really interesting here is how this reframes the whole genetics argument. You might have been told your genes just doomed you to get this disease. But the source clarifies that while you may have a predisposition, sure, your genes don't cause it. The actual cause is found somewhere else entirely.
And that leads to this crucial point, a complete rebranding of the disease as chronic carbohydrate toxicity syndrome. Just think about that for a second. This one change shifts the focus from some mysterious illness to a direct, understandable, and, most importantly, reversible consequence of diet.
So if diet is the problem, what's the actual mechanism inside the body? The conversation usually revolves around blood sugar, but that's really only half the story. The real key, according to our source, is insulin.
You see, type 2 diabetes isn't just a high blood sugar problem, it's also a high insulin problem. And the moment you start asking what raises both your blood sugar and your insulin, a huge spotlight turns directly onto the carbohydrates in your diet.
And this leads to another really destructive lie, that your body is permanently broken, specifically your pancreas. But the truth is, in most type 2 diabetics, the pancreas isn't burned out at all. It's working overtime, producing way too much insulin. A simple C-peptide or fasting insulin test can actually prove it. Your body is not broken beyond repair.
Okay, so if the disease is reversible and it's caused by diet, what about all the common advice we get? Well, this is where we have to start questioning some deeply ingrained healthy habits that the source claims are actually pretty harmful. And this just brilliantly illustrates the central argument. You're told you must have medications to get this under control. But the source argues that with the proper diet, medication may become totally optional. Diet alone has the power to normalize your blood sugar, your insulin, and your A1C. We're often told we deserve a treat, right? But the source poses this very stark question to completely reframe that conversation. What do you truly deserve more? A moment of pleasure or a lifetime of health with all your body parts intact? When you see it that way, the choice becomes a whole lot clearer. And the bad advice just keeps coming. You're told to never fast, to constantly snack, and to eat a diet full of healthy whole grains. But each one of these habits does the exact same thing. It keeps your insulin constantly elevated, preventing you from ever getting to a truly normal, healthy A1C.
So, after busting all those myths, let's pivot to the final and, I think, most empowering part, the actual path to reversal. This involves understanding what the real goal is and recognizing just how widespread this condition truly is.
First, let's just shatter this stereotype. This is not just a disease for overweight people. You can be of normal weight, you can even be skinny, and have dangerously high blood sugar and insulin without even knowing it. That's why the source urges everyone over 40 to get their A1C checked every single year. And now for what our source calls the most dangerous lie of all, because it comes from official medical organizations. It's the idea that an A1C under 7.0 is perfect or well-controlled. This creates this false sense of security while, according to the source, severe damage is still being done to your body. So what is the real goal? It's this number. A truly normal, healthy hemoglobin A1C, the kind that carries no increased risk of diabetic complications, is 5.6% or lower. Not 6.9, not 6.5. The goal is true normal.
This slide just puts it all into perspective. The gap between that standard goal and a true normal goal is the gap between a high risk of blindness, kidney failure, and premature death, and a long, healthy life. The difference in the outcome is just enormous.
So how do you start reclaiming control? The source lays out 3 really clear actions. First, question the idea that an A1C of 6.9 is perfect. Second, ask for that insulin test to see for yourself if your pancreas is overproducing. And third, focus all your attention on your diet, because that is where the solution really lies. And that brings us to our final question. The central message here is that you have so much more control than you've been led to believe. So knowing that that control starts with your diet, what's the first step you'll take to see the truth for yourself?